We're going to recess our standard council meeting and go into our public hearing for Vander Haag's abatement. I have Nathan on the phone here. Can you hear me, Nathan?
I sure can.
All right. You want to open up the meeting or?
So, last month, the council approved resolution, I believe it was 2023-1, the preliminary resolution establishing an economic revitalization area for the south parcel out at the Vander Haag's property south of town, and setting the public hearing for tonight to consider a request for tax abatement on an investment of give or take $1.6 million in new construction for a new dismantling facility out there. As you will see in the SB1 and in my report, they are expecting to create about 20 jobs with cumulative salaries of $1.3 million with this investment. I mean, those are the basics of it. Nathan from Vander Haag should be there, I think, and you can open it for public comment, or if Nathan has anything to add to what I have said, now would probably be the opportune time for that.
Does anybody on the board here have any questions for?
Those were strictly for warehouse. We're going to move our guys out of the we're dismantling trucks, move them into a new building, expand our warehousing, also be inventory trucks. About 5,000 square feet just for offices.
Is this building been built yet? No, that's what you're make sure.
And what was the expected employee base supposed to be on this growth?
Probably had about
20 jobs at 1.3 million.
One more big building or two more, kind of like what you got? Well, just
I'm
one.
hoping we're done it. It's going to be 100 by 200.
Okay. Yeah.
So is this abatement just for the new?
For the new project only. Yeah. Yeah. The other ones are done. Yeah.
All right. Is there any, give the public a chance, if there's anybody here that wants to speak on this? Is there anything from the public on this abatement? All right. Nobody from the public? I'll entertain a motion from the council. All right, we have a motion to approve the abatement as presented.
I'll second.
With a second, any further discussion? One more time from the public. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right, thank you. We appreciate you being in the community and for coming in front of us. We'll go ahead now and reconvene our public hearing. I'm going to move things around just a little bit because we have somebody that needs to step out quickly here. I'm gonna let the building inspector go next, if that's all right. Thank you.
Okay, me being here this evening is just more for information purposes. First, based on earlier what was brought up in regards to some of the fees, I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that my office issuing a building permit, the financial side of things is not part of what I'm looking for to have a building permit satisfied for commercial solar. Their fees, obviously, we don't know what they will incur after the permit's been issued. So the accounting and attorney side of things is not part of issuance of a building permit. And with that being said, as you all are aware, as was noted earlier, there was a commercial solar permit that was issued for Mammoth Solar on November 3rd of last year, Stark Solar. is Mammoth Solar. It's a 600 megawatt project that is located in two areas. They have the central section and the southern section. I know a lot of this you're already familiar with, but some just having more detailed information is helpful. So 600 megawatts is the central, 300, and these are approximate figures, not exact. 300 megawatts is the southern portion. 9,037 acres will span throughout Beaver, Franklin, Jefferson, Monroe, and Rich Grove townships. Again, that is the only commercial solar project that has had a commercial solar permit issued with, it does have conditions and commitments attached to it. So legally, they are not allowed to break ground yet. So there are items that they're already aware of that they know that has been agreed on. So tentatively, based on conversation with 3 other developers, we have Invenergy, which had been mentioned a moment ago, a 200 megawatt project, approximately 5,700 acres. 1,500 acres will be under panel, give or take again. This is in Salem and Beaver townships. NextEra is the Moss Creek project, a 200 megawatt project in Beaver Township, approximately 1,600 acres. So Light Source BP is the Mayapple project. Darren Jacobs was here last week for the commissioner meeting. That's a 124 megawatt project. 2,400 acres are contracted, maybe a little bit more, approximately 1,000 acres will be under panel. Now, there are other potential commercial solar developers that have reached out to the county, maybe more to residents than my office. So I only have the information on the 4 companies that I've mentioned to you. So if other companies are signing up ground with property owners, then it's kind of one of those things, a buyer beware kind of thing, that if a developer hasn't reached out to my office, but they have to the property owner, I've let them know, you should just, like I said, buyer beware, because these 4 have reached out to me, have been concerned about our ordinance, spoken to me at length on their potential projects. So that's all I have. I have no permits that are being issued anytime soon for commercial solar. And if you've got any questions on anything.
Anybody from the council have a question for building inspector? All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I do have a question. Can I ask you a question, Ken, or not? Is this the appropriate time or not?
During the public here, or the public comment would be the appropriate. Thank you. All right, prosecutor is next. Anybody have any questions for the prosecutor? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the prosecutor for working full-time.
I'll make a motion to approve the prosecutor and the deputy full-time.
All right, we got a second? Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, you're full-time for a while longer.
Is that every 4 years you come here? Every 4 years. I've never seen that.
All right, circuit court.
I'll be quick. I know you're running behind. Just wanted to give you update report as to grants and then have a short request for you. Our family treatment court was approved for $84,700 this year. We're applying for a second grant so that we can fully fund our public defender for that position through grants. And then our CASA program was granted 2 different grants that total $12,490. Remember, we have a grant. I don't know if I spoke to you about it or not. We have a grant opportunity that started last year where the state is paying this. Started at the beginning. So when we have public defender expenses for felonies, the state reimburses the county 40%. So I pay that out of my budget. It gets reimbursed to the general fund, right? Because that's where it got paid out of. That other 60% is not reimbursed, except now, as to this, they're calling it a grant for child in need of services, so DCS cases, and termination of parental rights, which is, an outcome from those cases. They're very intensive cases. So for that 60% that's not repaid by the state, the FSSA is giving us a grant for whatever that unreimbursed 60% is. Currently in that fund, so we have received a total of $4,407.86. Last year, we spent $1,000. It is kind of an open-ended grant. We have to do something that has to do with assisting young people in our community. And so that's pretty broad. We spent $1,000 on an anti-vaping program to see whether that would help. And so Laura and I have talked, or emailed, I guess, really, and I need to appropriate that $4,407.86 so that we have appropriated the funds that we spent, that $1,000, as well as the ability to spend those funds. So if you have questions about that grant or any of our other grants, glad to answer.
And you said this one here, you have a dollar figure now for, I know when we spoke before, you didn't have.
So through January of 17, so for the year 2022, it was $4,407.86. I expect it'll be more this year because of the number of cases that involve children in need of services.
Any questions for the judge?
This is money you have, you just haven't.
Right. This is not new money. It's not county money. It's sitting in an account that we have to jump through so that it stays out of trouble and everybody knows where the money's coming from. Correct. No, just appropriating this, and I assume what will happen then is I'll come see every January and ask to appropriate those funds. Unless there's a huge amount.
All right.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll make the approval when we do the addition.
Oh, okay, perfect, thank you.
Yep, so there's no further questions for the judge. CDC has a transfer for $1,100 from, professional services to internet services. And then we have,
Hey,
yep.
Ken?
Mm-hmm.
So that was for what I discussed with the commissioners meeting, and you heard Chuck say, see if we can look a little more into it.
Okay,
I have already been in touch with RB, and he's going to be coming out to the office on the 22nd of February. So we'll know before the end of the month if there's anything more that can be done, or if we're going to have to look at reconnecting directly. So if the council's willing to approve that tonight, either I have it ready to go if we have to go the light stream route, and if we don't need to go the light stream route, it's just in a fund that I can't use anything for. It's $1,100 that doesn't get spent at all.
okay. Any questions for Nathan on that? Okay, then we have, some additionals that need to be advertised. The sheriff, $6,625 for Misdemeanant Fund. Highway, $235,000 building and structures repairs. Also $325,000 for hot mix. Circuit Court, appropriate grant funds of $4,407.86. Them three will be advertised. And then there's an additional CDC for $350,000 to professional services that has been advertised, and Health Department, $25,000 out of COVID-19 Reimbursement Fund that has been advertised. I'll entertain a motion to pass, reject, discuss any of the above.
Make a motion to approve the transfers as presented.
All right, we have a motion to approve the transfer as presented.
I want to question the CDC $350,000 because we talked about that at our last council meeting, that he has $150,000 in his account now.
Yes.
So in theory, he only needed $200,000, not the $350,000.
There was, Nathan can speak more if he has more input on it. There's a couple things that, part of that money is to go toward, things that need to be done for the courthouse, but there's some things that also, for getting the courthouse ready, but there's some bonding things that'll need to be done prior to that as well. Yeah. Yes.
So he doesn't need $350,000, he needs $200,000.
You have anything you want to add to that, Nathan?
Well, you've got a motion on the table, so when it's the appropriate time, yes.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead then and do the transfer since it's got a motion on the table, and then we'll come back to this and discuss it.
I'll second the transfer motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the transfer for the CDC. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One against. Okay, now we'll go down and we'll talk about the, let's do the additionals that need advertised. We'll just do them one step at a time. That way we get all the conversation in. The additionals that need to be advertised. Once again, the sheriff, $6,625 for Misdemeanant Fund. Highway, $235,000 building and structures repair, $325,000 for hot mix. Circuit Court, $4,407.86 for grant fund appropriating.
Can we talk about mine, Ken? So there's no question about it. Since it's additional, I don't really like considering it additional because it's out of the misdemeanor fund, and as Jeff can tell you, only certain things can be spent out of the misdemeanor fund. Jail operations, this is one of them. I have 25 windows broken, back, cracked, or broken. I have 4 to 6 windows down below. I can replace those ones where inmates have tried burr on the glass out. So we're gonna put new windows in there, and the others are like adhesive. You gotta get the bid from the prosecutor.
Yes, yes.
So that's the reason for that. You know, if the inmate's trying to make a hole in the window, they're trying to pass through. So that's got to be good. You know, there's no information about that. So that's the reason for that. Additional, but there's plenty of money in there. And that's how you have to ask it. I think it's the way it's, they ask it for.
Right.
All right. Any questions? I'll try to answer.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on the, we both have highway and, circuit court here, if there's any more questions for them? All right, I'll entertain a motion to advertise the sheriff, highway, and circuit court. Second? Right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes. All right, we'll go down here now to the additionals. Can you, Nathan, please address, Councilman, Fennell's concerns?
Yes, sir. So as I note in the report that you should have in front of you, we do have the full 150 in the budget. There was some question about that. We found out that I had just gotten a wrong copy that didn't include it. So we do have that. The reason I asked you to approve the whole 350 as advertised, there are a few of them. The first is that we don't know exactly when that bond will be issued. Just as a matter of getting through the architectural drawing stages and getting the bids let, we've already seen it delayed far from where the original calendar was. So I don't know. I don't expect that I will need the entire 350 just for that, but it may end up being 2 months later than expected. We don't know that. The second part is that my office has been the office, because in the past I have had these additional funds for courthouse and justice center projects. My office has been the default recipient of any bills from Barnes and Thornburg for legal services provided relating to any of the solar projects. Those continue to arrive. I have received and submitted $10,000 in invoicing to Barnes and Thornburg already just in the first 6 weeks of this year. I don't know how long that will keep up, at what pace, depending on when various courts rule on various cases that are currently open, but somebody has to pay the lawyer, and my office has been the default for that, the same fund that this additional appropriation is being made for. So even if 350 isn't necessary for the courthouse cost pre-bond issuance, somebody still has to have funds available to pay the attorney's fees. And if there's already a additional advertised on the table, it seems reasonable to pay for it out of there instead of to do this with somebody else and have multiple departments trying to keep track of the billing. Third, as discussed in the joint session, depending on the commissioner's response to the budget breakdown from Mr. Rudd for broadband consulting services, this fund would make as much sense as any for paying that contract. So if this is approved, then we have funds available. If it's not approved, chances are I'm not going to touch that fund because I don't typically spend more than 30 or 40,000 out of that fund a year, except for special projects. And then a reminder that $1,100 transfer that was just approved would come out of this anyway. So while yes, this is more than is probably needed for the courthouse project alone, I'm not certain of that. And the other bills coming into my office out of what we would call normal operating expenses are going to put pressure on this fund.
And most of this money will be reimbursable from anything that's done with the courthouse, correct?
Yes, anything courthouse related will be reimbursed. So the legal funds, I don't know if those will, to some extent, depending on what the county may or may not negotiate with any of the solar companies, the $1,100 obviously won't be, and the broadband won't be, but the great bulk of this will be reimbursed by the bond. And if it would make the council comfortable, once that bond is issued, if there is still $150,000 left in this line item, I will come to you and say that you can I don't know what the legal term is, whatever, unappropriate whatever is above my normal budget for that and the other need. I don't need $60,000 extra sitting in there once the bond has been issued.
I think I would rather see him come to us as he needs it, rather than just blank check for $350,000.
That's not how it works, Brad. You've run a county department before. I know this.
I know, and I never got anything unless I had a reason for spending it. It all came off of an invoice.
I can't tell you what the invoices for the architects will be, or the lawyers, or the financial consultants until they've arrived. It's based on, some of it is based on progress, and I don't know what progress they'll make at any given point. And I don't know what will come before and after issuance.
What-
So if it's not, it's this, or I come back 4 times for additional time, we get risk-looking payments, incurring interest costs or penalties, and the additional advertising costs, because I need to do this every time I get more bills than I have in my account. Right now, like I just said, with 10,000 out of just for lawyers' fees, that's more than 20% of my existing budget, or I'm sorry, that's 6% of my existing budget, just for one thing that isn't directly my office's responsibility, but I'm the one covering.
One thing that we know is for, like legal fees, things of that nature, most of the time they won't represent if they don't know that there's money already appropriated and available to cover that cost. Well,
What are the legal fees for that we've incurred so
Those would be various challenges to Board of Zoning Appeals on specific solar projects, as well as the challenge to the county commissioner's amendment of the ordinance.
So was Mammoth Solar supposed to pay those, or?
Yeah. Mammoth, like I said, there may be some negotiation, but Mammoth has its own lawyers and we have our own lawyers. Our Board of Zoning Appeals decision.
But we needed lawyers because they didn't file the correct paperwork for the building permit, is that the way I understand that?
This was not for the building permit. This was for their applications for a special exception when that is what the county's law require.
well, I mean, I guess for me, I guess what the county had to hire the lawyers for to protect the county interest. I mean, whether it's for a permit or whether it was for, whatever the reason is, if the county's being sued, we have to hire lawyers to protect the county's interest. I mean, if we got sued because somebody tripped out here and we wanted to fight it, we would have to hire a lawyer to
Oh, I understand that.
fight that case.
Where is the funds, where they going? Like the 10,000 he says he spent already this year,
Brad, I can send you copies of those invoices.
Excuse me?
He said he can send you
Send
copies
copies.
of the invoices if you'd like to see
I
them.
would like that. I think we talked about that the last council meeting.
Get them. Any other questions for Mr. Order? Anybody else? All right, we have the 2 additionals. Like I say, the 350,000 to professional services for the CDC, the Health Department, 25,000 out of the COVID-19 Reimbursement Fund. We can pass both as presented. We can pass one as presented. Council's pleasure.
I make a motion to pass the health department.
All right, we have a motion to pass the Health Department as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, what's council's pleasure on the CDC?
Didn't we just learn that every time we have to do additional, it costs us for advertising? So this would be the same, what we just talked about, right? I'll make the motion to approve the local approach.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 2 opposed? Passes.
Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you.
Do you want me to stay on at all for the conversation below, or can I hang up?
You can hang up. If I need you, we can shout back.
I'll be around.
All right, thanks. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve and sign the January 9th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. Everybody should have seen a copy of them or sent them out.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? All right, we have a motion. We have a
Nobody likes
motion.
minutes.
We have a motion and a second to approve and sign the January 9th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Okay, next thing up is a fiscal plan update. I kind of reached out, there were some different discussions about different options for the county on when it come to, looking for pay increases. We've had questions about paying for work release. But one of the big things that's coming up is the courthouse project. Courthouse project is going to be a big project. It's going to go out and need to be bonded. When we did the Justice Center project, we had our fiscal plan updated. Peters Municipal did that 2018, something, 17? Yeah, 17 or 18. And, the recommendation is every 2 years, we should have the fiscal plan updated, brought up to speed, just to make sure that we're either trending in the right way, or if we're trending in the wrong way, we know what to do to, or get some options to try and correct it and get moving in the right way again. It also, one of the big things for it is it shows the people that are going to buy the bonds for the courthouse project that we are proactive, we're not reactive, we're trying to do things to keep ahead of the curve. So it helps get our interest rate down, where we'll pay a lower rate. The taxpayers will pay a lower rate on that bond. Like I say, one of the other things is myself, we've had a lot of discussions, different people, different times, different places, department heads about, pay increases, giving bonuses out. My personal opinion is I would like to give, if we're going to give an increase, it's something that stays on people's paychecks from now till the end of time, not, but there's also been discussion about how do we do that? Where do we come up with the funds? So one of the things that I asked for from Baker Tilly when I was talking to them in the packet that I sent out was to use this time not only to look at the courthouse project and get us prepared for that bonding, but to look at possible options, things that we have out there, revenue streams, ways that we can tweak things, do things to hopefully be able to come up with a sustainable method of giving pay increases and being able to continue them forward. And then the other thing is that, like I said, there was a lot of talk about work release, and one of the things I've heard from a number of folks, not only in local government, but out in the public, a lot of support for that. But, one of the concerns of the commissioners and all was the cost and how to fund it, and all. So I asked them while they were doing this, whether they could help us look into these other two topics. One thing about the courthouse, doing this now, we can kind of get a few things for maybe the cost of one, because everything that comes for the courthouse will be reimbursable when the bond is done. So anything we pay out now, come back to done, become part of the bonding. Like I said, everybody should have seen what was sent out. More than willing to try and answer any questions. Trying to remember what the exact number was at. Looking up stuff on my phone, too small. Yes, is there any questions?
Trying to find it.
This last email you sent?
Oh, it should have been.
Not to exceed 25,000.
So I thought, I couldn't remember if it was 25 or 30, and I didn't want to say wrong. When I get out, if I can make sure that I resend it to you. What email was that on?
Well, it's kind of a lot of money, but if you don't do it, you don't get a good bond rating and tell us.
Yeah.
It's kind of like your pets being a rock and hard. And then I think it's a great idea. Those other two points you guys threw in there, I think,
Yeah, I said, I think we can get the most bang for our buck, as they would say.
with number one, they'd be 25,000.
Right.
1, 2, and 3 is 25,000. Seems like that's what they would charge.
The Pulaski County IN BTMA scope.
Where we're gonna get 25,000.
Well, that's one thing off that money that is in the CDC. Nathan said that he would cover that. Because it's part of the courthouse bonding, so it becomes part of that project.
The hopes of this would be to use the information Nathan's gathered with his study, have Baker Tilly help, and come up with a plan to, several department heads have said that it's better, instead of the bonus, to get that extra money on the paycheck, just like you would like to see, attract more people, keep our people, and do it that way. So that's what we're looking at this time, to spend this money for, like Ken said, 3 different things, and to get help on how we can do this and use the ARP funds for this year, but then how can we sustain this in the future? So.
And one thing they did say, and of course I'm not saying this to pressure anybody to make a vote or to agree to anything on it quickly, but I did put some discussion that I had with Adam about how fast can they turn this around. And they said that they should, if they have no problem getting information and so forth, have it done have it for our April meeting.
So I guess just there's a lot of people here just specifically for this. So what you're proposing is we'll approve this 25,000, that'll do a study to see where the money comes from to get everybody raises.
Well,
One part of it, yes.
that's one part of it. I mean, like I said, the main basis of doing this is for the bonding and to be able to get us a good rate on the bonding. But when they're looking at this, they've got to go down through the different funds and our different taxing structure and so
I
forth.
guess the question I'd like to, and probably the 2 guys are gone, that, I haven't yet heard a commissioner say that they're willing to spend this ARPA money. I haven't heard any of them say that.
I don't have that either.
I think one thing is I would like to see them pin down about, are they going to use this money? And I don't see it as a sustainable thing, but I know that we're all waiting here for the solar money to come through. And, Baker Tilly can answer some of those questions, and great. I really think we need to do something. as soon as we can.
Hmm.
He's down 8 people now. He's lost a jail commander. I don't know how many more short you're in. How many you got, Chris?
Just started this thing back in December. I'd like for just a minute to tell you. I think, great idea to put in a paycheck, stipend, I think I'll go back to that. I'm down almost 20 to 25% of my workforce. And 4 jailers, 3 jail commanders, 2 dispatchers. Every time I reach out to somebody, they say, okay, what do I tell them? I'm open for suggestions. If you guys can tell me ways to put my finger in the dike to get me by, the stipend, I don't think that's going to work. I think you put the money in the paycheck because you're not going to get taxed double or 60% of the paycheck, and it helps them out. At least it's going to show them that you guys are willing to do something. Whether it's our funds, whether it's any other funds. I never even spoke about so I'm bringing more federal prisoners. I'm trying to get the work relief program going. We're not just sitting on our thumbs over there. We're doing a lot. Our staff is helping me daily. The first question I ask them when they come to me for something, is that a want or is that a need? If we need it, I'm going to come to you guys. If it's a want, they know me. I'm not going to go for it. We need to give these people more money. I don't know how to tell anybody that. Cass County's going up $15,000. Their first year officers going $62,000. Every surrounding county is at least $10,000 to $12,000 to $15,000 higher than me. My jail commander is going down to the dispatcher in Cass County because he's, why would I go down there? Because they want more money. I'm passionate about this. I'll sit down with anybody anytime. I gave you guys some funny options last month. I'll be glad to sit with any of you people. I mean, we've got important decisions to make. I think the first step would be to put that money in their pocket as soon as we could. These are positions that just, I'm talking longer than I'm supposed to, but these aren't positions where I can put somebody, yeah, I can't leave the position open, somebody doesn't decide to come to work and they're overtime. I'm paying their time. I just can't say, well, we'll just leave that shift uncovered. We won't have a dispatcher there. I don't have those options. I'm paying people overtime to fill those positions. And those positions are months of training. Months. A deputy's a year. If they stay around. What I find is we're being a training ground for these other counties because once we're hired them, they go someplace else to visit the academy, and they've been trained by us. We have a lot of people here in the county, a lot of employees that want to stay here, but they got to take care of their families, got to be able to feed their families. I'm passionate about this. I'll do whatever I can to make this thing go through, and I think that's a great idea. About putting in their paycheck rather than just giving one-time stipend. At least it gives us a start. Whether it's 5%, 10%, something, it's going to show them that we're serious about this. So I appreciate your time. Any guy you got, my door's always open. Jeff's a good resource for that. He spent more time there than I have. So, give it to Jeff. We can hear about that. If you have any questions, I'll be more than glad. I know it took more time out of the lab. I appreciate listening to me. Okay?
Thank you, Sheriff.
Another thing I might want to say, maybe I'm out of turn, Chris is in a unique situation. He loses another worker to
I was real happy to hear about the work release, starting that back up now, before we try to build anything, just let's get that thing rolling.
Certified to transport these federal prisoners. And we're in negotiations. We just went there today. We sent the paperwork in a couple weeks ago. About getting away from the 50s, hopefully close to 80. That's more than demand. Last year we gave the county $200,000. I want to at least double that. They told Fred today that we're about 20 prisoners now, and they're going to try to increase it to 25. The work release, we put some changing blocks around. A lot of work went into it to be able to get where we can put 10 to 12 work release people in there with our trustees. Weekly, businesses asking, hey, we got that going. Everybody knows how these employees are. They're hard to get. They've done a lot of work, shuffle people around, and they've blocked for that. We got to do some maintenance stuff. That's my short-term plan for the next month to get that going. At least to show you we can bring in some revenue from that. A little bit of revenue, but it's a little bit of revenue. As I told you last month, a lot of these counties are fighting for these federal prisoners. Because they want them, they know that's a revenue source. We're already approved for it. A couple of counties surrounding us are trying to get approval for that, but they're giving us preferential treatment to it because we're approved to it. We're going to spend a lot of time with them today, and they're ready to move forward with us more. That's a revenue source for us. Last year we gave the county $200,000. I'd like to have that $400,000 to $500,000. So, the answer question you have about the work release.
Yeah, no, I was just, yeah.
Well, at least if you do the plan now, you have it before budget time. You sit around our hands for another 3 months. We'll even be here by probably questions.
Yeah, and I think the hopes are by April being able to do something with the ARP funds, you know, even though we're not talking about next year's budget yet, but I think, isn't that the hope, Ken, that
Yeah, I mean, the
by
hope, yeah,
April,
the
May,
hope,
that we can put something in action there?
yeah, the hope is to move as quickly as we can.
Well, that's usually a snail's pace.
I've, like I said, I've got them locked down to, like I say, the report
I don't know.
is supposed to be, and I'll keep pressure on them by the beginning of April.
Ken, I know Chris stood up for his employees, I'm gonna stand up for mine. We're not funded through the county, and you guys all know that, so, and we put in for our additional raise, we didn't get it, so we're definitely funded. The ARPA funds, yeah, for the county highway guys would be fine, but they would rather have it in their paycheck also.
And I guess that's something we need to point out.
You guys aren't funding us.
Right, well, yeah, and I don't want anybody to take that wrong. When we're looking for funding resources, I mean, yes, the sheriffs at the time have done a lot of speaking in front of us. You have as well. Others have as well. This is something, putting it into paychecks, this is for, you know, we're looking at this, or at least I'm looking at this as a mechanism for trying to do something for all county employees. We don't know how much that's going to be, if it's going to be equal for every employee, is it going, you know, I don't know. We'll see what that funding looks like. But yeah, you know, no one department is being forgotten at this point.
I know I'm losing too, so,
Yeah.
our board's not banging down for employees.
I think that's exactly why we're doing this, Gary. You could just sit here and say everything's rainbows and hunky-dory, you know, and ignore you, but we're not.
All right. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to move forward with updating the fiscal plan.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to update the fiscal plan, working on these 3 key points. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes. We have Cume Building and Cume Bridge. We changed their allocations back 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, and said we would put them back for these folks, because, you know, it puts more into the general fund, or gave us some options, the general fund, but it's also eating away at, both of their funds. You know, Cume Building, this year they had enough, it's next year that they'll be short, correct? Yeah, 400, be down to 40-some thousand, and we give the hospital 90-some thousand. You know, if we vote to put them back until we ratify the budget, they don't have to go back, correct? Saying that correctly? Yes. Questions, thoughts, comments?
I'll say I'm ready to make a motion. We need a reinstate.
Think that's a motion?
Yes.
Right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second to reestablish the Cume Building and Cume Bridge funds back to their original allocations. All those in favor, or any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Yes. All right. I guess we kind of had the discussion on the matrix and bonuses and so forth. Is there anything that anybody wants to add to that conversation or?
I'd still like to revisit about ARPA funds. Do we send a letter to the commissioners asking if this is something they want to do, or how is that presented? Does the sheriff go to the commissioners and say, you know, are you willing to spend ARPA funds? If it's not ARPA funds, do we go with rainy day funds, or what do you want?
Well, I'm more than willing to get with President Mellon, conversation with him, the other commissioners to see what their thoughts are on that, and I can report back to the board and let you know where that's at. You know, using rainy day or other means or funds. I'm hoping. That's my goal is that through what we just approved with the fiscal plan study and all, that'll give us some input as to where we can go and where we can reach out for. Any other discussion on that? Okay. Public comment, any board reports? We'll do board reports first. Anything from the board? Any other topics, discussion?
I have, they call Hoosier Homes. It's a first-time homeowner. I think that there's an income, well, I guess for Pulaski County, if you're $85,000 or less income per year, the way I understand it, if we approve this, it's the state, and as I talk, sometimes I might miss a few things, but it doesn't cost our county anything. In fact, they get fees back when participants use it, okay? But it's for a first-time homeowner to obtain loans that are $85,000 or less income. And the way I understand it, I was hoping that the Community Foundation was still here, but they're gone. So, but they say all we have to do is okay that it doesn't cost us any money, that we will actually get, if once this is implemented, you'll get a few small fees back as people use it. And it's called Hoosier Homes. I think that's something we need to do. But I guess we probably should have it on the agenda for maybe next meeting, and have the Community Foundation talk about it.
That's what I was going to ask. Is this something through the Community Foundation that they brought to your attention? Okay.
They're the ones that, let me see. I guess that's the only thing that I really want to bring up tonight.
Yeah, if you could, I think it'd be important if you could get with them and any information they had that they could email to us so we can.
Like I say, it supposedly does not cost us anything, but it gives it, and it don't hardly make sense to me, but this is what I can explain. But I think there's a lot of younger participants out there that, I think that could be good. Get more taxpayers on them. Well,
Oh, thank you. Anything else? All right, anything from the public? Yes.
I just have a few things that I want to mention. Brad, first of all, thank you for asking questions. Thank you for asking questions about legal fees. I know Tankersley tonight mentioned that, there are two people who are opposing this, and I was offended because I've worked my butt off for 2.5 years to try and get information.
there are a lot of people, we're not against solar, guys, we're against irresponsible solar. And unfortunately, 2.5 years ago when this all started, it was done very irresponsibly. Laws were broken, procedures were not followed. That's the cause for the litigation. Nobody here is above the law. I'm not, and no county elected official should be above the law either. Everybody needs to be held accountable. If things had been done by the book, guys, you would not have seen these. We wouldn't even have been able to act on these. But we continue to have rules broken, laws overlooked. And I'm not going to sit back and watch somebody do that to me. You don't have the right to break the law. And I'm not talking just to you guys. There's another group I'd rather be talking to, a couple other groups I'd rather be talking to, but we have a hard time getting anybody to even listen to that. We have building inspectors who walk out when they know they're going to be asked a question. Let's just walk out the door. Nobody's above the law. I know people were groomed years, probably, before these solar companies came in. A lot of people seem to know about it. Many of us didn't. And now many of us have had our voices stripped by not being able to make comments at commissioners' meetings, no open public comment at those. It's ridiculous. Stripping away the exemption to be able to hold public hearings. I can't believe I'm living in a county that is honestly doing this. And I want you guys to take it to other people in other elected offices, because it's not this group really. It's really not. There are others, but the word is not getting out, and our words have been suppressed. We're being suppressed all over the place. Kevin Tankersley called me nuts tonight. Nuts. Really? I don't care. I mean, it doesn't hurt my feelings, but I want you to think about the tiger that you guys have let out. And I'm not speaking just to you guys, everybody. We have counties, this is happening across the United States, these land grabs, across the United States. DeKalb County, and I'm a member of so many of them because we're all trying to work together to figure out what's happening and how to stop this disastrous train from continuing in our counties. DeKalb County, they're very new into this, capping it at 6,000 acres. They've already decided to cap this at 6,000 acres. We are at nearly 23,000 contracted acres, leased acres that are they've been recorded in the recorder's office. We know there's more. We're at 6 times DeKalb County. Another economic director at some point in this county, probably been 1.5 years ago, during some meetings that were not here, he was giving everybody advice, and he said, his advice was, try small, fail small. Try big, fail big. Do you realize what's going to happen to Pulaski County if this fails? Do you realize the risk every time you allow another company to come in? And now we have no way of stopping them because the ordinances have been removed to make special exceptions. You don't have to have it anymore. I think it's time this county gets serious. I'm sitting here listening to all the financial problems. You realize we're not going to collect any of this money for 3 years from solar companies? And even then, we might get $350,000 on year 3 or year 4. Read the contracts. This isn't going to happen overnight. And we're looking at 23,000 acres. I don't see a way out of this. Here's the problem. You try and tell a solar company now that you don't want them in the county. You think lawsuits from within the county are bad? Wait till the solar companies come after you. And they will. I read the board meeting or the minutes from Dunn's Bridge the other night. A landowner over there, 3 pages, get on there and read it for yourselves. Nothing was done the way NextEra said it was going to be done. He said, this is what they told me was going to happen. It's not happening. Who do I go to? Who do I ask? They couldn't even, there was confusion in there about who the holder of the contracts even was at that point. And the guy says, well, don't these conditions that were set up with the first company follow to the next company? Nobody knew. Nobody knew. I think, and I'm just asking, I know we got a commissioner in here. I know we've got you guys. There needs to be some discussion happening in this county now. We are bigger than any county I have ever seen. When I put on social media, people are crying out over 25 acres, and I say, hey, Pulaski County, Indiana is at nearly 23,000. They can't believe it. If we fail, we're going to fail on a magnitude that's unbelievable, enormous. And I'm sad because this is my county. I've lived here all my life. I'm very sad. And I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed right now to get on and have to say we're at 23,000 acres. And nobody's doing a darn thing to stop it. There's no plan in place. Roll in. Sure, come on in. We don't know what's going to happen 3 years down the road, but we started this and it's going to be really hard to stop it now. I know some people are making a lot of money. Congratulations. But just like tonight, there's money on the table that we've lost for the county. The filing fee, down to a ridiculous, pathetic $15,000. Is that what it is? Am I right? $15,000. Are you really concerned? And this is to all the committees. Are you really concerned about Pulaski County, or are you concerned about your own pocketbooks? Because you left a lot of money on the table there. And just like tonight, how much money should we have collected? And I still don't know if I believe what was said. Nobody even knows what the procedures are for collecting the money. But I bet certain people did get paid. But when it's the county's money, there's no system in place to invoice and go after it. And you've got county employees over here begging for money. You got the sheriff's department begging for money. And we've got solar companies out here that are running over this county, and nobody has a plan in place to make money for the county. So I'm really questioning at this point, is this about money for Pulaski County? Because the actions that I see tell me they're not. Nobody's protecting me. I got somebody waiting to buy my house. They want to wait until solar comes in because they know they're going to get it for a lot less money. Thank you. I'm questioning why we're doing it. And I'm questioning when is somebody going to stand up and say, let's put a moratorium on this and stop it before the other 5 companies roll in here. And the money, and nobody's collecting the money. Try small, fail small. Try big, fail big. This isn't rocket science to me. It's not. It's time to get serious. Nobody's going to talk to us. We know that. Nobody's going to talk to us. We've done a heck of a lot of research in 2.5 years. We talked to a lot of people across the United States. We talked to a lot of professors, a lot of economists. You don't want our information, but I sure hope you're getting it somewhere. And I hope that all these committees get together real fast to figure out what you're going to do, because you're at nearly 23,000 acres. 4 times the cap in other counties. Who's protecting me? Nobody. You won't even talk to us. And I hate to see what's going to happen to this county in the next couple of years. You know, we're going to be looking at 5 to 7 years of construction if all this comes in. 5 to 7, maybe 10 years. Construction in this county. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to the drainage? What's going to happen to the roads? We can't even collect an invoice. Who's going to supervise? And that was the question at Dunn's Bridge. Who's supervising this? Who is supervising this? You know what the answer was? We don't have anybody. Maybe the state will come in. I hope, for the sake of this county, that something changes and something changes real fast. Because this is a train, folks, that is completely out of control. Totally out of control. And nobody wants to answer a question about it. I appreciate your time. It's hard after 2.5 years and not getting any answers and being completely ignored. This is my turn to say something, and it needs to be said. We have so many people, and I'll be done in just a second. We have so many people calling us saying, we want to help you. We see what's happening. We drive through Bass Lake. We drive through the Dunsbridge project. It's a disaster. What can we do? Please show up. Please be with us. Well, I want to work behind the curtains. Do you know how many people are standing behind the stinking curtain in this county? There's a bunch. They're afraid to come out because they know they're going to get it. They know they're going to get it from somebody. And that's sad when you can't have people show up because they're afraid of the backlash. Please get together and understand what is happening to the county. That's all I want. I am begging you to sit down and have a conversation. I am begging you to put a moratorium in place to stop what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
I spoke with a couple between the joint session and this meeting, and they were really upset. Their house is going to be surrounded by solar. 2 different projects, Mammoth and then the Light Source BP. They're going to be surrounded, and the question is, how do we sell our house? What are we going to get for it? And that's what a lot of us are asking. I sat during the meeting and listened to different discussions. There was discussions about expenses because of the solar lawyer fees. There was discussions about salaries and trying to pay people more money. There was discussions about the megawatts that were going to be produced by solar companies. So I got to thinking, have you driven through White County? Have you seen all of the new development in wind and in solar? It's really moving. They're really building. Do you know how much they charge per milliwatt hour? $1,750 per milliwatt. If Mammoth, and today's figure for them was 600. It changes. Today's figure was 600 milliwatt. You multiply that times 1,750, their fee for getting a building permit would have been $1,050,000. Carla said that Moss Creek is 200. 200 times 1,750 is $350,000. That's what they would pay in White County. And White County gets that money. If you drive down 43, you look at all of the new wind. There's solar going in. People are not being deterred by that fee. In our county, it was a few years ago, $1,250. But it was decided that that was extortion, asking people to pay that much money. I believe that was Nathan Origer's comment, it's extortion. And Mike, correct me, was it the APC that voted to change that $1,250 to a flat $15,000? So instead of getting over $1 million from Mammoth for their building permit, we're going to get $15,000. Instead of getting $350,000 from Moss Creek, we're going to get $15,000. maybe the sheriff's department and some of these other people could have seen some of that money. I don't know. It would pay a few bills. So I guess that's what has always disturbed me. We're the cheapest county. I don't know of any county that charges that. Stark County charges $30,000. At least they're twice what we are. But we've got the opportunity to be getting fees and to be getting money and to be comparable to our neighboring county, and we're not taking advantage of it. All right, I'm through. This is not your council's issue. I believe it would go back, I think, to the APC. If I think they're the ones that voted to change. But this might be something that you think about, is a possibility on changing your fee. And I don't know, is it too late? I hope not, but I think there needs to be a change done, fee schedule, so that our county can reap what it should. I don't want to see solar come in. It makes me sick what it's doing to our county, state, country, and to the world. But if this is going to happen, then let's at least benefit from it and not pimp out the county.
Thank you. When you come up here, please state your name as well for the record. Sorry, could I ask you guys as well?
Hi, my name is Laura Scott, and I want to just thank you for the time that you're going to give me here in a little bit. I know you've heard from the Sheriff's Department about their request for a raise. I'm actually married to one of the deputies. I just want to give you an idea of what it's like to be married to people that work in the Sheriff's Department. Okay. These men and women work long hours, hard hours, and see things that would probably turn most of you guys' stomachs. And most of you guys probably wouldn't want to see what they see and have to deal with on a daily basis. You guys are hemorrhaging out of your Sheriff's Department. And I know you want to give raises to everyone, and thank goodness for that. I think everyone needs one. But the problem is if you're hemorrhaging out of one area, you need to staunch that first before dealing with everything else. I've been here for the last couple meetings that you guys have presented, and it always is the same thing. Oh, well, we got to get a little bit more information. We'll do that at the next meeting. That's great. I'm glad that you guys are taking the time and you want to have the information. You guys were given this over a month ago. They have shown you with paperwork where the money can come from for their raises. This really isn't a question about where the money can come from. They've shown you what grants you can take, where the money can come from to afford these men and women that work in this department how they can get raises. Now, I know you guys have brought up the little, what is it? A stipend? Is that what you guys are talking about? A little increase? After taxes, because it would be taxed at what, 52%? It'd roughly come out to $2,400. Am I correct?
Depends upon how much we gave in the budget.
Okay. That is the average cost of an emergency room visit. Most of these deputies have children. I have 3. That would pay for maybe one emergency visit. That, although that's helpful, that isn't overall helpful, right? Many of these deputies are having children. You know what the average cost of labor and delivery is? Yeah. $13,000 to $15,000 for labor and delivery. Now, if you have insurance, it's less, but you're still paying a crazy amount out of pocket. These men and women, and I can speak for the deputies because I'm married to one, on average, he gets between 3 and 4 hours of sleep a day. For the last 2 weeks, he has worked every day. Would you work 14 days straight for $40,000? Do you think that at 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night or a day because he works night shift, that that's safe for him, his partner, that's safe against lawsuits? Because they're making decisions on the dot, right? That can change people's lives. Do you think that that's safe? And the reason he's getting 4 to 3 hours of sleep at night is because he has to work a second job to make it where we can pay our bills. He loves being a deputy. I'm proud of him being a deputy. I'm proud of all of our people in the sheriff's department. I think they're phenomenal people. What I'm asking you is, at what point are you guys going to decide that they are worth and worthy of getting this raise? If they get a raise, some of these families are not, they wouldn't need to have a second part-time job or a third part-time job, because they could afford to pay their bills to do the job that you've hired them to do. And they would do a better job. These deputies and dispatch and jailers, they all want to stay in this county. But at this point, why should I, as a wife, encourage my husband to stay and work so many jobs and see him killing himself when he could go to a next door county, not have to work a second job, and make more money, which would involve better health for him, better health for our family, spending more time as a family, because in the past 14 days, I really haven't seen my husband much. Now, I know some of that comes with being married to a deputy. There are certain things that just come with that, and I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is them not being appreciated and having a job that pays them well to deal with the things that they have. You guys say that you want to raise everyone's income. Again, that's great. But your deputies are making less than your county highway. Last time I checked, and no offense to county highway, but last time I checked, they're not the ones responding to drugs, overdoses. They're not risking their lives being shot at. They're not scraping brain matter off the road at 3 a.m. They're not having to go into court and testify. They're not the dispatchers that are hearing the screams of urgent and people in distress. They're not worried about the deputies on the other side of that phone, making sure that they have the backup and the information needed to make a safe call. They're not the jailers that are responding to the deputies bringing in somebody who is combative, having to watch federal inmates. So please, this is important. Very important. And I've been here a couple meetings and it keeps getting passed to the next meeting. When are you guys going to make a final decision and say, yes, we're going to raise your pay? You have the information in front of you, gentlemen and ladies. The money is there. The grants are there. They've presented it. Can we get a decision, please? Because if you don't, more deputies, more jailers, more dispatchers are going to leave. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a much bigger problem than you're ready to deal with. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Travis Wolford, Pulaski County Highway Department. I guess, I sit back here, she brought up a lot of really, really good points. I've heard some frustration at a couple of you guys when Gary stood up, at least one of you. I think the problem with this is like she said, and this is no competition between us, because these deputies are far, far underpaid. All of us are. They have a really dangerous job, but when it snows a foot of snow and they get stuck on that road, who goes out and makes sure they can get to where they're going? We do. This is not a competition between us, but like she said, every time you come to these meetings, and I would like to say this right now, each and every one of you guys, I thank you. I appreciate, because you guys are working on it. We can see that. So I appreciate it. But just like she said, her frustration is, you come here and every time, how big is this table? Because it gets tabled every time. That can's wore out. You can only kick it down the road so long. We got 2 people here on the council now that I know for sure, that have worked as superintendents, sheriff, and then Brad Bunnell. So I do know that they both know, and I think they're going to vouch for both of us. I have faith in that. But the big deal is, I have nothing against solar. I'll be honest with you, I could care less. My word doesn't matter when it comes to solar. But I come to these meetings, and whoever Mammoth is, whoever these companies are, whatever they want, they get it. Their backs are pretty well scratched, and it's time to take care of the guys that you have here before you have none. That's reality. I mean, she made a ton of good points, but each and every one of us all know that we're underpaid. But the problem here is, let's say we get a 3-inch rain tonight at 1 o'clock in the morning and pipe washes out of the main road. I mean, is one of you guys getting called? No, it's us. We go out, we do our job, and we just want to feel like we are getting what we're worth. We do, and it's part of our job. We understand that. We do understand that. But we shouldn't have to have 2 and 3 jobs to support a family. It gets pretty frustrating. So, I guess our biggest thing is, I do know that you guys have said April, and I appreciate that. We kind of have an idea, but the problem is, this is not a problem that started last month. This has been a problem going on for years upon years. So it gets frustrating when the can just keeps getting kicked down the road. You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys do understand. I'm not against you guys, because I do appreciate what you're doing, but you guys also have to understand our frustrations as well. And I do know that some of these heads of the department asked for a bigger raise, and they were pretty well slapped in the face. And I think some of you guys know who those are. That's all.
Thank you.
It's Connie Ehrlich, and I'll make this brief. I know it's been a long night for everyone, but I listened to the young lady and her issues, and I totally get it. And she's right on. She's spot on, and so is the gentleman from the highway department. The problem is you don't have the funds, and that's a result of making poor decisions, not this group, but poor decisions in the past that you're still trying to recover from. So that's why it's very important that we give solar the time that it deserves to make sure that this decision with solar and the tax abatements that are given are right for the county, because like Jennifer stated, this will probably be the biggest mistake that this county will not be able to recover from. There will not be money for these departments, and no one's even mentioned the fire department yet. We have multiple fire departments. Many of them are volunteers. They don't have their equipment. They don't have training. The solar company is not committed to pay for that. So where's that money going to come from? So solar is a big problem, and I know the commissioners don't want to talk about it. They don't give us proper time during the meeting. They'd rather talk about a memorial bench and where to put it in the courthouse square or the rails to trail program, whatever. But this is big. This is critical, and I don't think you understand the magnitude. This is not the pot of gold that everybody thinks is going to be at the end of the rainbow. So please give it time. The problem is, I understand you're not responsible for it, but the problems and result of solar is going to be on your table. You're going to have to deal with it, because they always look to the council to get them out of the money problems. So do everything you can to ask questions, get educated, and know what you're in for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura Scott again. Just to address what you brought up, the sheriff's department has actually done the research and has put together the list that you can get the funds to give all these deputies and dispatchers and jailers the raise that they need. You just have to look at that sheet and approve it. And if you can do that, because they've done that research for you, then some of the other funds you can allocate towards increasing the pay for the fire departments, EMS, county highway, all those things. So the sheriff's department has already done the work of saying, this is how much we need. This is where you can get it. You guys just need to approve it. So I just wanted to clear that up. Like, it's already shown where it can come from. You don't have to research it.
All right, any further discussion? Our next commissioners meeting is Tuesday, this, 2/21/2023 at 8:30 a.m. Next council meeting is Monday, March 13th, 2023 at 7 p.m. And the next joint section is Monday, April 4th, or April the 10th at 2023 at 6 p.m. Are there any further discussions on the board? Make sure that everybody comes up and signs the paperwork. We will adjourn our meeting for February 13th, 2023.